you're standing on the top of the Tower of Terror at Disneyland California Adventures. Except you're not standing on the top of the building. You're standing on a 2-inch thick wire all the way up at the top. And it's about 170 feet above in the air, and nothing below you except safety nets to help you get across. Today I'll introduce to you 3 unique people that I've found who have crossed the Niagara Falls successfully. I will talk about Maria Spoltrina, William Leonard Hunt, and Nick Woladena. So I'm going to start today with Maria Spoltrina. She was 23 years old when she crossed Niagara Falls. Her first attempt happened in July 8, 1876, and shortly after that, she attempted 2 more times within that same week. The last time she crossed with her ankles tied and her wrists handcuffed. And she also crossed, as you kind of can't really see, but she had buckets, like peach baskets, on her feet crossing over. I thought that was really interesting. It was really unique to me. And she was actually also the only woman to cross Niagara Falls on a tightrope, and no other females did it. They did it in other ways. Next is William Leonard Hunt. He was known to imitate another guy who crossed Niagara Falls. He wowed his audiences in really different ways. One unique way was he suspended himself down from the middle of the wire to the Maid of the Mist, which is a boat that makes trips back and forth to Niagara Falls. And when he went down into the boat, he actually went onto it and went and dined with some of the passengers and had wine and was eating and just kind of, talking to everyone on board. And he also would, stand on his head. He would hang by his toes. And he was also, just kind of like a really weird fact, was the inventor of the watering can just for begonias, which is a flower. I thought that was really weird. Just a little fact out there. And lastly, and more currently, was Nick. The weird thing about Nick was that he was part of a trapeze family who would do weird things on flying trapeze and stuff like that. He was 7th generation. On June 15, 2011, he became the first person to walk directly over the falls, whereas the previous 2 people were actually, they only walked over a small part of it, which was just the gorge, but he did the whole part of the falls. When he got from New York to Canada, he was approached by the customs in Canada to provide his passport, because you're going obviously from the United States to Canada. And he didn't really do anything big, like no big theoretics, didn't do anything to really wow himself. But you can kind of see how he bends down on his knee and he actually puts his fist up in the air and in triumph, like he succeeded, and he didn't really do anything special other than that, but he actually scared people because when he was doing it, was so windy and everything was, they thought that he might fall, stuff like that. And another thing is that he owes about $25,000 in fees for police and firemen for overtime, because this was just something he did on his own. It's kind of like a security and safety fee that he had to pay, so it's kind of not that great. So today I introduced 3 unique people that crossed over Niagara Falls, Maria, William, and Nick, who have all done what we would think was impossible and crossed Niagara Falls in a successful way, each doing it in their own way that, wowed people. And they made history as they went.
So Tyler, what did you think?
I liked the introduction. It was a good catcher for me. I got a good visual out of it because I particularly don't like heights too much, so it helped out with me. I felt she previewed her speech very well. She laid out all the points, and she actually went over the points that she thought we did. The only negative thing I thought was she kind of read up her parts a lot. But in between, though, she knew her stories very well. You could kind of tell when the transitions between stories and the transition to the next story. That was the only thing. And I thought that was an interesting fact at the end, like giving the perspective of having to pay police fees and fireman fees. That wasn't something I would have thought of before. And then she concluded it really well because she went back over the points. And, yeah.
I have really good English. Hey.
All right, well, I like the visualization at the beginning. I also like the exit line at the end. So you've got, bookends here that work pretty well. What goes on in the middle has some good points to it and I think some weaknesses. Look, you've got a simple structure. It's topical. You're going to talk about these three particular people. I'm not sure why it is that they are as interesting. I think you need to give this a little bit more context. How any of this got started, why anybody does this, what notoriety are they supposed to come with, what's dangerous about Niagara Falls. You need to give it a little bit more setup. It just feels like we've kind of dropped in on the conversation after somebody's already been talking about this, and now we're talking about the three people that you want to talk about. And I just felt like I needed more context here. You've got some historical information about a couple of the people who walked across Niagara Falls. I didn't get a source citation on any of that. The most recent example is relatively recent, so I'm assuming that it's like contemporary news reports that you're using. But again, I didn't get any source citations on any of the information that you're presenting. The visuals, I think they're okay, except for the third one. I'm sorry, I don't know about anybody else. I could not see a damn thing on that third picture. I'm looking at it going, what is... And I kept adjusting my glasses, and I thought, I can't see anything. So if you guys could see something, more power to you, but it didn't help me at all. And so I have no idea what Nick Lawenda looks like or how he was crossing the things. The Flying Lawendas are a very famous, like you said, acrobatic troupe that they've been doing those kinds of things. And I think that would have been one of those things to maybe develop a little bit more and use those as transitions between the points. The one woman that you mentioned at the beginning, well, who was she before she did this? Was she in a circus, or was this, she got up one day and said, you know what, I think I'm going to cross Niagara Falls today on a tightrope. There's got to be some, like I said, some context on these stories. Otherwise, it just feels like we're getting part of the story. I feel like you've got a good idea for the speech here. You probably picked three good people to talk about, but we need a little bit more on each of their stories and a little bit more background to make it feel like it's more complete. And then the visuals, like I said, the first two images, we can at least see what's going on there. It's not particular. I don't know if turning off the lights might have sharpened it up a little bit, but they were okay. They're just black and white pictures. And the third one just doesn't, like I said, it was a waste of space, as they say. All right, thank you.